welcome back to my channel. I'm Jacqueline. If you're new here, I make videos all the time about a variety of things, weekly vlogs, makeup, lifestyle, cooking, everything. But I actually started this video to promote my business. I am a nature and landscape photographer. I have my own Etsy shop and it's always linked below. I also have my own website, which I'll link below too, which has my blog on it. So much information, I know. But today I wanted to share with you how I edit my nature photos. This could help you in a lot of different situations. Like maybe you went on a family vacation and you took some photos that you want to edit, or you're trying to get into nature photography, stuff like that. I just want to give you some tips on how I personally edit my photos. Obviously, I think for me, editing is a very personal process. The steps you choose to take and how you want your end product to be is definitely personal. For me, I like my photos to be a little bit on the warmer side. I don't like them to be too cool toned. And I tend not to do too much retouching just because it is nature. It is what it is, and all that stuff. But before I get into the actual retouching portion where I did like a screen recording so you can see me actually editing, I did want to let you know that my 1-year anniversary of my shop is coming up. And so in honor of that milestone, I am having a sale on my Etsy shop. The sale starts on Friday the 15th and goes all the way through Monday the 18th. You just go to my shop. It's 10% off everything. You don't need a code or anything. Everything will just be discounted for my 1-year anniversary of my store. I'm really excited about it, and I hope you'll go check out my photos, maybe buy something that's on sale. And just help support small businesses in general is great. And obviously I'm a one-person team, so very small. So I hope you'll check out my shop and my website and all that fun stuff. And yeah, I think that's it. So let's just go into me editing. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is I open up Lightroom. I use a combination of Lightroom and Photoshop to edit. All my photos are already imported, but obviously if you don't have them imported, import them. And I separate mine into folders by date. So first thing I like to do is I go through my photos, kind of see which ones I like, rate them with 5 stars or however else you like to rate them. I like to zoom in, make sure they're all in focus and whatnot. Make sure they're looking good so I know that they'll be a good fit for editing. So this one already had some settings on it, so I'm just taking those settings off to show you which ones I like to put on. So it's just going to be a second to take them all off. But basically I like to use Lightroom as like a first step to kind of get the picture looking as good as possible there, so I have less work to do in Photoshop. So the first thing I like to do is add the profile. I switch it from Adobe Color to Adobe Landscape. I think it just gives a little bit more punch and looks good. I also remove chromatic aberration and the lens correcting filter. I add those on. And then I do the color balance, I do it auto, and same with the tone. And for me, that seems to work pretty well. I will adjust the color balance a little bit if I need to, but overall for like a base editing line, those settings seem to work really well for me. So the next thing I'll do once I get to where I want it to be, I will open it up in Photoshop. So if you right click on that, you can go there. Alright, so once it's open in Photoshop, the first thing I like to do is make a duplicate of the background layer. I like to zoom in then and make sure that there wasn't any dust on my lens or anything like that, especially if there's like a lot of sky. You can easily see the dust on the lens, so I want to make sure there's no dust left, and no spots or anything that I need to get rid of, or sometimes I'll see like trash on the trail that I didn't see before when I was taking the picture, and I'll get that out of there, just stuff like that. But overall, unless it's like really glaring, I tend to leave all of the imperfections in place because it is nature, and that's just the way nature is, and I think it's beautiful that way. So this one didn't have any corrections like that. So the next thing I like to do is I like to edit my picture based on color range. So I'll go into color range and pick the color that I want to, or the area that I want to select. So this point I'm looking at the snow and it looks a little blue to me. So I go into color range and then I like to use the curves to correct that. So I'm going into the blue level. I'm just going to pull that down a few stops until it looks good. The snow looks less blue. You can see the difference there. And then I'm also going to right click on that and get the selection back up and go to the hue saturation bar, and I'm going to desaturate that a little bit just because it still looks and feels a little blue to me and I don't want it to look super colorful because it is snow. So I'm just going to pull that on. The next thing I'm going to do is go back to color range. I love using color range. I think it's the easiest way to color correct photos. So I'm selecting the trees now. Those look a little red to me, a little magenta. So I'm going to pull the red down a little bit first and get it to a spot. Sometimes I do go overboard and I just pull it back a little bit. And it's just adjusting and just seeing what works. So like I take the green now and it looks pretty good to me. I'm just turning it on and off so you can see the difference there. But I'll just go back and forth between the layers and the different curves and just make sure it's like where I want it to be and just play around with them until it looks good to me. And this is such a personal process too. Like I like my photos a little warmer and I like everything to look pretty realistic, so I keep everything pretty simple when I'm editing. So next I'm going to take the greens of the trees and you do those next. They look like a little yellow to me and I want a little bit more green. So I'm going to take the blue first and pull that blue down again, or put it up again. Just a few hints, and then I'm going to go in with the green and just really punch up the green so it looks more like real life would. You can kind of see the difference there. It's not very big, but it's nice and subtle. It just helps the trees look really, really nice. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm just zooming out so you guys can see the difference. I'm just going to turn all those layers on and off so you can see where it came from. And that's what it looks like now. So it's, like I said, it's not a huge difference, just little tweaks here and there to help the photo look better. The final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a levels layer, and I just use the auto setting. If it looks a little funky, I'll pull the sides, but that looks pretty good to me. It did a pretty good job. So that is that. So I'm going back to color range now, and I'm picking the brightest spots where it's pure white, because when you go to print these out, the whites won't have any ink on the paper. So I like to select the pure whites, and then in the levels area, I just set the output to 245, so it gives it just a teeny bit of gray tone, so that way it doesn't, like, it puts some ink down on the paper and you don't have like a dip in your ink, if that makes sense. If you've ever seen it, you'll know what I mean. So that's what that level layer is for. So that's pretty much all I do to the photos. I do add an extra curve layer at the end right before I print because I find my printer tends to pull everything a little bit dark. So I just throw on a curves level and pull it brighter for like a few stops, but that is it. So I'm just going to show you the difference now. So this is with all the layers off, and that is with all of them on. Like I said, I don't do a lot. I try to keep it really simple so you can see kind of what it all looks like. So that's it. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you got some good tips on how to edit photos. And like I said, the sale in my shop will run from this Friday the 15th through Monday the 18th. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you'll subscribe and stick around to see more videos, and I will see you in my next adventure. Bye!